like to turn to a very familiar verse, John chapter 14, verse 6. John 14, verse 6. Jesus saith unto him, that would be Thomas, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. What we read here is just a portion of Christ's words to the apostles on the night of the Passover. They're in the upper room of a house that had been prepared for the observance of the Passover. And we read of that in Mark chapter 14, verses 13 through 17. But on this night, in that upper room, Jesus tells the apostles, who for 3.5 years, at the call of Christ, had left their jobs and their homes and their families to follow Christ. And life has been good for them. They had seen countless miracles. They had seen individuals healed. They had seen individuals delivered from Satan. They had seen Christ walk on water. They experienced Him calming the storm. They saw Him on at least 2 occasions feeding great multitudes with just a few loaves and a few fishes. They'd seen Him raise the dead. They'd spent the last years listening to the greatest teachings ever spoken. And they had just witnessed the triumphal entry of Christ into Jerusalem, the people lining the streets, waving palm branches, shouting, Hosanna to the King. But in this night, beginning in John chapter 13, to their absolute dismay, He tells them that He's going away. He of course, is speaking of His crucifixion. And He tells them that one of them would betray Him. What Jesus told them, of course, put quite a damper on their spirits, changed their moods, and now they're fearful. Become extremely anxious, they're distressed, they're confused. Why is He going away? It was as if their whole world had come crashing down. It's a scene of gloom. And then you come to chapter 14, and Jesus proceeds to comfort, to calm, to ease their fears, reassuring them and encouraging them. And He begins in verse 1 by saying, let not your hearts be troubled. That is, do not allow your hearts to be troubled. And then He calls attention to Himself. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in me. Change your focus. Believe in me. From that point to the end of the chapter, He uses personal pronouns of Himself over and over and over. He uses the word I 37 times from that point on to the end of the chapter. Myself 3 times. Me 22 times. My 11 times. Mine 1 time. That is 74 references to himself. Without a doubt, he is calling their attention to him. Let not your hearts be troubled. And he calls their attention to him. And that's the remedy for preventing troubled hearts. And that's the cure for troubled hearts. He says, believe in me. That is, be persuaded in me. Place your confidence in me. Depend upon me. Trust me. Lean upon me. Look to me. Come to me. Be committed to me. Believe in me. He told them that though he was going away, he was going to prepare a place for them. And he would return for them. And receive you unto myself, that where I am, there may ye be also. And in verse 4, he says, and whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know. And that prompted Thomas, in verse 5, Thomas said unto him, Lord, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? And that's when Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He declares, I am. I am. Followed by threefold use of the word the. Followed by three nouns, way, truth, and life. So it's a threefold statement of I am. Jesus declares himself to be everything that they needed. And there are no exceptions. There are no exceptions today. Jesus is everything that people need. Well, what about my situation? Jesus is everything that people need. There are no exceptions. Unsaved man is lost. And he needs a way. The saved sinner can wander from God and they need a way. And Jesus says, I am the way. Man is in the clutches of error. He needs illumination. The saved individual can fall again into the clutches of error and deception. And Jesus says, I am the truth. I am the truth. Unsaved man is spiritually dead. And he needs life. And Jesus says, I am the life. The saved individual can grow cold spiritually. They can become indifferent. They can be in a place where they need reviving. And Jesus says, I am the life. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. Those are wonderful words. Assuring words. He's all I need. Let not your heart be troubled. Believe. Believe that I am the way, the truth, and the life, Jesus says. If you're unsaved, you need Christ. And if you're saved, you need more of Christ. Jesus is saying, I'm the one that everyone needs. So how foolish and how dangerous it is to neglect and turn away from this one who's everything we need. He's the way that everyone needs to be in. He's the truth that everyone needs to know. And He's the life that everyone needs to have. So in this message, we want to focus upon I am the way. I am the way. May I say, He is the way and the truth. He is the way and the life. Our subject is Jesus, the way. But hear Jesus say, I am the way. Consider the tone of those words. Again, He's calling attention to Himself. And He makes a personal statement about Himself. He said, I am. So He's telling them and us something of Himself. He's telling them and us something of His identity, something of His character, something of His function, something of His work, as it relates to man and God the Father. I am the way. Now in John 6:35, Jesus said, I am the bread of life. In John 8:23, He said, I am from above. In John 8:58, He said, before Abraham was I am. In John 9, verse 5, He says, I am the light of the world. In John chapter 10, verse 7 and verse 9, we hear Him say, I am the door. And in the same chapter, in verse 11 and 14, He says, I am the good shepherd. In John 11, verse 25, He said, I am the resurrection. In John 13:13, He said, you call me Master and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. For so I am. In John 15:15, He says, I am the vine. But every one of those statements are bold statements. They're very vivid statements. And so it is when He says, I am the way. It's an absolute statement. I am the way. It is a very definite statement. It's a very emphatic statement. I am the way. In the context of the statement, which shows us the extent, He says, no man cometh unto the Father but by me. So that reveals that when He said, I am the way, He's making a very exclusive claim. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. No man. The widespread and general consensus and mindset of society has always been to accept all religions as valid, and all ideas have worth. I'm here to tell you that not all religions are valid, and not all ideas have worth. A lot of them are worthless. They're useless. That all paths lead to heaven. No, they don't. But Jesus sharply discredits all such a mindset when He said, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. You see, Jesus is a one-way message for a many-ways world. The world gets offended when you say there's only one way. They ought to thank God there is one way. Rather than being offended by that, thank God there is a way. And Jesus says, I am the way. With those words, He made an unconditional statement. I am the way. He gives no alternatives. Why? Because there are none. I am the way. He offers no recourse, no other options presented. He simply says, I am the way. So much so that no man cometh unto the Father, but except by or through me. So it's an affirmative statement. It's a conclusive statement. It's a very firm and absolutely reliable statement. I am the way. Those words are as sure and as certain as He is. I am the way. They're very notable words. They're extraordinary words. They're wonderful words. They're exciting words. I am the way. I am the way. So consider the extent of these words. How far should we take it? Well, it's seen in the statement, I am. That word am covers all tenses, past, present, and future. If you know Old Testament, you know that it identifies Him with Jehovah of the Old Testament, the I am that I am. The eternal self-existent. Every time Jesus said, I am, He was identifying Himself with Jehovah. He was saying, I am the eternal self-existent one. I am the way. I am the eternal self-existent way. When Jesus said, I am, He was saying, I am at present what I've always been. And will be what I've always been and will be what I am. I am. I am the way. He's saying, I am right now the way. He's saying, I've always been the way. And I always will be the way. It is a statement that covers all time. The extent of the statement is also seen in those words again, no man cometh unto the Father, but by me. But by me. So it is a statement that not only bridges all time, but all individuals. No man but by me. No man but by me. Are you telling me there's only one way? Bingo, you got it. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what Jesus said. There's only one way. Well, you think your way's right? It's not my way. It's His way. His way. Would it offend you if I told you, you get on the Elgin O'Hare Expressway, if you stay on that road, you cannot get to Tennessee? It's fact. There's no way to do it. But we tell people there's only one way to get to heaven. That offends them. That offends them. Shouldn't. They should rejoice. There's a way. Well, if there's only one way to get there, I need to get on that way. The extent of the statement, again, covers all time, all individuals, all cultures, all places, all the happenings of life, whatever's happening, Jesus says, I'm the way. All the occurrences, all the incidents, Jesus says, I am the way. So what does that mean? Consider the meaning of those words. A way is that which connects distance. That's what a way does. It connects distance. Before Adam and Eve sinned in the garden, they enjoyed communion and fellowship with God. But when they sinned, when they disobeyed God, that communion and that fellowship was severed. As a result, man and God were separated, so much so that Adam fled. They fled from God. They tried to hide from God. So there was now a detachment. There was a disconnect between God and man. Paul describes this disconnect, if you will, this separation, in Ephesians 4:18 and in Colossians 1:21, using the word alienated. Alienated from God. It means there's an estrangement between man and God. There's a distance between man and God. There's an isolation, if you will. And there's no measuring the depth of that alienation. There's no way to measure it. In Ephesians 2, verse 12, Paul, describing that distance between the sinner and God, uses the words without Christ, without God. The word without, of course, speaks of an absence. Absent of Christ. Absent of God. To be without Christ, to be without God, is to sit in darkness. It's to be in the very grip of death. Ephesians 2:13, Paul uses the phrase far off. Describe the distance between the sinner and God. The distance that exists between an unrighteous, guilty, filthy, polluted, vile sinner and a holy, righteous, pure God. That distance is immeasurable. It cannot possibly be calculated. A way connects distance. Jesus says, I am the way. So though that distance is immeasurable, Jesus Christ spans the distance. I mean, do you possibly believe that baptismal waters can span the distance between God and man? Or do you possibly believe that there is anything you can do to span that distance? There is a way. And that way spans that distance. And in light of that, Jesus says, believe in me. So a way spans the distance. A way also makes movement possible in some specific way. It makes movement in some specific way possible. And all holy, all righteous God is inaccessible to an unrighteous sinner unless there is a God-ordained and God-provided way. A holy and righteous God cannot be reached by an unrighteous, guilty, filthy, polluted sinner without a way. A sinner cannot move in the direction without a way. You can't move in any direction unless there's a way for you to do so. Has to be a way. And Jesus says, I am the way. That changes everything. That changes everything. Jesus is the one that makes the otherwise inaccessible accessible. I am the way. That means it is now possible for a sinful man to come to God. There is a way for that to be accomplished. And Jesus is the way. And in light of that, He says, believe in me. Believe in me. A way leads you from a place. The unsaved sinner is separated from God. Such is a life of misery. And many are looking for a way out. So they will do drugs or alcohol. They'll seek various vices. And they may even take their own life as a way out. But none of those are a way out. But here Jesus say, I am the way. He is the way out of the pit of corruption. He is the way out from the enslavement and the binding and holding power of sin. He is the way out from the debilitating control of sin and Satan. He is the way out from the darkness. He is the way out of the ignorance and the blindness of sin. He is the way out from the filth and the defilement and the sickness and the insanity of sin. He is the way out of the mire of sin. He is the way out of the depths of sin. The way must go all the way down into the depths if there's a way out from the depths. He is a way out from the habit of sin. He is the way out from the hopelessness of sin. The unsaved sinner lives a life according to the course of this world. Ephesians chapter 2. That's a life of emptiness. A life of wandering. A life built upon sand. A life of ruin. But thanks be unto God, there is a way. There is a way out of that life. And Jesus says, I am the way. You see, there is a God-appointed way. It's sure and it's certain. There's a way out of spiritual death. There's a way out of the guilt that grips the unsaved sinner. There's a way out of the alienation that haunts the unsaved sinner. There's a way out of the fearful condemnation that the unsaved sinner is in. There's a way out from the terrible enmity that the unsaved sinner possesses. There is a way out from the surrounding pollution and from the confining darkness of sin. There is a way out from the spiritual bankruptcy that the unsaved sinner finds themselves in. There's a way out from the despair of sin. There's a way out from the wretchedness and the devastation of sin. And for those that are saved, but have wandered from God, to the point that they find themselves once again entangled in the snares of sin and Satan, there is a way out. There is a way out. There is a way out from a life of wandering. There's a way out from a life of doubt. There's a way out from a life of restlessness. There's a way out from a life that is wrong and from that which is displeasing to God. There is a way out. There is a way out from a barren spiritual life. There is a way. And the way has been revealed. It was revealed before Jesus said what He said in John 14:6. It's revealed in the very book of Genesis. But Jesus is the revealed way. He is a way out. And in light of that, He says, follow me. Follow me. I am the way. I am the way out. Now, you're not going to follow somebody unless you believe they know where they're going. You got to believe He's the way. Follow Him. A way leads from. A way also leads to something. There is life for the spiritually dead. And Jesus is the way. There is liberty for the enslaved and confined sinner. And Jesus is the way. There is light for those who sit in darkness. And Jesus is the way. For the guilty, there is pardon. There is cleansing. And Jesus is the way. For the alienated, there is nearness to God. And Jesus is the way unto. For the condemned, there is justification. And Jesus is the way. For those at enmity with God, there is reconciliation with God. And Jesus is the way. There is fellowship with God. And Jesus is the way unto. For the unacceptable, and we're all unacceptable, there's acceptance. And Jesus is the way. For the spiritually bankrupt, there are eternal riches. And Jesus is the way unto. So there is a life of direction, a purpose. I am the way. There is joy, there is peace. Jesus says, I am the way. So thank God there is a way. Again, don't get mad because there's only one way. Thank God there is a way. A way takes you from something, takes you to something. A way takes you through. Takes you through. In this life, we experience many things. You can't get through life without experiencing some of these things. You experience trials. You experience difficulties. Today may be a very easy day. Think, well, I wish every day would be like this. Well, it's not going to be. Hate to break the news to you. There's going to be difficulties. There's going to be hardships. There's going to be times when we struggle. There are going to be adversities. There are going to be heavy burdens. There are going to be great stresses. And there will even be some calamities in our life. There will be sorrows in our life. There will be some setbacks. Oh, I finally got here. I'm never going back. Oh, don't be so sure. There are setbacks. There are battles. There are obstacles. But we don't have to get stuck in any of those things. Yes, we're going to experience those things, but we're to go through them, not get stuck there. And how do we go through? I am the way. Jesus is the way through. He's the way through. Saved person may come to a day and they'll say, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. You'll get through it the same way you get through everything else. The way has not changed. The way has not changed. And the difficulty has no bearing upon the way. None. From Isaiah 32:2, we learn that Jesus Christ is a hiding place from the wind, a covert from the tempest, rivers of water in a dry place, and the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. In other words, Jesus Christ is the way through the wind. Some days the wind doesn't blow hardly at all. Other days it can be a hurricane. Not here, of course, but spiritually speaking. He is the way through. He's the way through the tempest. He's the way through the dry places. He's the way through a weary land. He's always the way. It's never going to change. I have no idea, you have no idea, what you and I might experience in the remaining days of our life. We have no idea. But I'm glad to know there is a way. And that way will take me through everything. The apostles found Jesus Christ to be the way through the storm. Still is. Still is. David found Jesus Christ to be the way through the valley of the shadow of death. Still is. Still is. We that are saved have found Jesus Christ to be the way out, the way unto, and the way through. And whatever your condition, you see, we don't have to know what everybody's experiencing at any given point in their life. We don't have to know all the details. There's one who knows all that, and that's the Lord. And He's the way. He's the way. So whatever your condition, whatever your situation, whatever your circumstances, and they could all change in 5 minutes, but the way never does. It's the same. Whatever these things are, Jesus says, I am the way. The world is filled with change. Life is filled with change. That's the process of life, change. We didn't remain like Lane. Life changes. Life is a process. But through that change, Jesus is the way. Sometimes there's upheaval in our lives. Instability. Uncertainty. Life is filled with uncertainties. But Jesus is the way. And He's unchanging. Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. And if He is the way, then it is the same way yesterday, today, and forever. Doesn't change. Again, a one-way message for a many ways world. Thank the Lord that Jesus said, I am the way. Brother Dave, if you'd come and lead us in a verse of